sometimes, a terrible car gets the last laugh. When a brand new Chevrolet Vega was sealed away in 1975 as part of a massive time capsule, almost nobody expected that 50 years later it would roll back into the spotlight, reviving old debates about bad cars, nostalgia, and what really deserves to be remembered. A 1975 time capsule reopens. On July 4, 2025, a concrete vault buried beneath a small pyramid in Seward, Nebraska was finally opened, revealing a surreal sight, a 1975 Chevrolet Vega that had not seen daylight or turned a wheel in half a century. The small town's Independence Day celebration instantly turned into a kind of living museum exhibit, drawing thousands of visitors who came to witness a perfectly preserved slice of mid-1970s America. This wasn't just about one car, it was a carefully planned time capsule that blended local pride, American nostalgia, and a bit of showmanship. But here's where it gets controversial. The centerpiece of this grand, lovingly engineered time capsule is a car that many people once mocked. Inside the world's largest time capsule. The Seward Vault is often described as the largest time capsule ever created, an ambitious project launched by local businessman Harold Davisson in the 1970s. Alongside the Vega, the vault held a blue Kawasaki motorcycle, consumer products from the era, toys, letters, and other everyday items chosen to document what ordinary American life looked and felt like in 1975. The idea was simple but powerful. If someone in the future opened this vault, they wouldn't just see a car, they'd see an entire moment in time, frozen in concrete. From cassette tapes and fad items like pet rocks to kitchen tools such as a Teflon frying pan and a then-current Barbie doll, the collection was designed as a cultural snapshot rather than a stash of rare collectibles. In that sense, the Seward capsule functions less like a treasure chest and more like a time machine, giving people in 2025 a direct connection to the textures and tastes of mid-70s everyday life. The Vega, from punchline to showpiece. When the Chevrolet Vega hit the market, it was supposed to represent General Motors' fresh answer to small, efficient cars, only to become notorious for mechanical troubles, rust issues, and cost-cutting design choices. Its aluminum engine block and unlined cylinder bores, among other decisions, led to reliability problems that quickly sank the car's reputation and landed it on numerous worst cars ever lists. For decades, the Vega has been an easy target for jokes among car enthusiasts. And this is the part most people miss: the Vega in Seward did not live the hard life that ruined the model's name. This bright yellow 1975 example was sealed soon after it was new in a controlled underground chamber, showing 0 miles on the odometer when it emerged. Aside from some minor rust on the hood, the interior and overall condition were remarkably clean, so much so that onlookers described the colors and materials as almost shockingly fresh for a 50-year-old vehicle. A time capsule car that still runs. Footage shared online shows the Vega as a 2-door notchback with a brown interior and a 4-speed manual transmission, an archetypal compact of its time. The standard 1975 engine option, a 2.3-liter inline-4 rated at around 78 horsepower, wasn't exactly legendary, but it represented the kind of modest, practical powertrain many Americans were buying during the energy-conscious 1970s. Although the exact spec of this buried car is still being clarified, its configuration fits right into that history. Here's the twist that has really fueled debate: after being pulled from the vault, the Vega was actually started, driven, and featured in Seward's July 4th parade. Symbolically, that short drive turned the car from a sealed artifact back into a functioning piece of American road culture, raising a provocative question: does a product's story change when it survives long enough to outlive its bad reputation? Thousands of artifacts, and some gaps. The Vega might be the star, but it is only one of more than 5,000 items that were packed into the vault to represent the typical American experience of 1975. Household goods, pop culture novelties, recorded media, toys, and personal letters were all meant to provide a broad, relatable picture of the era. Viewed together, they highlight not just what people bought, but what they valued and found entertaining at the time. However, not everything survived perfectly. Some of the paper materials, including documents and printed items, showed signs of water damage after decades underground. To make matters trickier, the original inventory list went missing in 1991, and a box of receipts relating to who owned what was reportedly stolen in the late 1990s, making it far more difficult to match specific objects with their original donors or families. When preservation works, and when it fails. The motorcycle stored next to the Vega, a blue Kawasaki Enduro, also emerged in impressively solid condition, underscoring how effective the Capsule's design and construction turned out to be. The vault's careful attention to environmental stability appears to have made a real difference, especially when compared with other high-profile time capsule attempts. In many ways, the motorcycle reinforces the idea that Seward's project was not a quirky stunt, but a serious exercise in long-term preservation. For contrast, consider the famous time capsule in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where a 1957 Plymouth Belvedere was buried for 50 years and unearthed in 2007. In that case, the car had been thoroughly compromised by water intrusion and was heavily deteriorated, turning what should have been a triumphant reveal into a sobering lesson for preservationists. That failure has become a cautionary example, one reason Seward's comparatively successful outcome now fascinates people who care about how, and whether, objects can truly be saved for the future. Viral buzz and a reputation reboot. Once the vault was opened, the story did not stay local for long. Online search interest in Chevrolet Vega spiked noticeably over the summer, with data tools like Google Trends reflecting a clear wave of renewed curiosity from people who may barely have heard of the car before, or who only knew it as a punchline. Clips of the unveiling and parade appearance spread across platforms such as YouTube and Reddit, sparking arguments over whether the Vega deserves a kinder re-evaluation. In effect, Seward's time capsule has become an accidental branding campaign. A vehicle once dismissed for its flaws is now the emotional centerpiece of a feel-good story about community, memory, and engineering foresight. Heritage fans, automotive historians, and casual onlookers are all weighing in, asking whether context and rarity can redeem a car that was once widely considered a failure. What happens to the Vega next? Right now, the future of the unearthed Vega is still undecided. Options on the table include displaying it in a museum-style setting, restoring it more thoroughly, or keeping it in running condition for occasional events so people can see and hear it in motion rather than just behind a rope. For the moment, it remains near the site of Harold Davisson's former furniture store, while specialists consider how to protect it from the very wear and decay that its 50-year sleep successfully delayed. Here's the uncomfortable question that lingers: if the car is driven and used, does it lose some of its magic as a perfectly preserved artifact, or does coming back to life actually complete its story? And more broadly, should a product with a bad historical reputation, like the Vega, be given a second chance in the public imagination just because one example survived in such extraordinary condition? So what do you think? Does this time capsule Vega deserve to be seen as a misunderstood classic, or will it always be a beautifully preserved symbol of a flawed era in car design? Should it stay under glass as a museum piece, or be driven and enjoyed on the road like it briefly was during the parade? Share whether you're Team Redemption Arc or Team Still a Lemon in the comments, and explain why.